Today on Film Roots, we'll be diving into the 80s cult classic They Live. We'll discuss its influences, adapted source materials, the genesis of John Carpenter's seminal flick.
As with any other work of art, They Live didn't simply come forth from the ether. John Carpenter had his influences. They Live has its genesis. Though Carpenter infused the film with his essence, his unquestionable style, and a message that is near and dear to his heart. But I'll let him tell you about that.
The movie I made towards the end of the 80s, and I was reflecting on a lot of the values that I saw around me at the time, mainly inspired by Ronald Reagan's conservative revolution. There was a great deal of obsession with greed and making a lot of money, and some of the values that I grew up with had been pushed aside. So I decided to scream out in the middle of the night and make a statement about that. And They Live is partially a political statement, it's partially a tract on the world that we live in today. And as a matter of fact, right now, it's even more true than it was then. We are manipulated by a lot of media around us. We are consumed by consumerism. And as you can see, the recent events in this country, they are still among us. They do live, indeed.
Soundproof. Where's that signal?
It's up on the roof on time.
Holly works in there. If she made it, maybe we can find her. Then we can go to the roof and break that signal.
Wait, boys, wait. You're making a big mistake.
You made the mistake.
No, you gotta listen to me. I thought you boys understood. It's business. That's all it is. You still don't get it, do you, boys? There ain't no countries anymore. No more good guys. They're running the whole show. They own everything, the whole goddamn planet. They can do whatever they want. Well, what's wrong with having it good for a change? And they're gonna let us have it good if we just help them. They're gonna leave us alone. Let's make some money.
You can have a little taste of that good life too.
I know you want it. Hell, everybody does.
Do it to your own kind.
What's the threat? We all sell out every day. Might as well be on the winning team.
While Carpenter infused the film with his unique sensibilities, he developed it as an adaptation of the comic Nada and the short story 8 o'clock in the morning. These were the early incarnations of They Live. First came the short story 8 o'clock in the morning, published in the November 1963 issue of the magazine of fantasy and science fiction. Written by Ray Nelson, this tale is fairly straightforward but undeniably eerie, a slice of life that takes a turn for the horribly wrong. Our protagonist, a man we know next to nothing about, wakes from a trance at a hypnotist show. When he wakes, something is different. Among the patrons of the club, there are beings, alien, reptilian-like creatures, acting as if human, secure in the illusion in which they are cloaked. It's concealing their true nature. Nada quickly deduces that these beings are the ruling class, our masters. This is confirmed by a TV broadcast featuring creatures speaking directly to the population, lulling them into a trance-like state. As far as humanity knows, it's just a regular TV broadcast, but Nada can hear the signal underneath. Messages like obey, work, consume, procreate, and conform. It becomes clear to Nada that humanity is trapped in a system of their design. He dubs them Fascinators. He then receives a call from one of the Fascinators, a chief of police. The Fascinator informs him that, no, it programs Nada to die at 8 o'clock in the morning. The Fascinator calmly tells him, you're an old man, and your heart is going to stop at 8 o'clock in the morning. Nada understands, repeats the instructions, and hangs up. But he remains awake. After some existential dread, Nada manages to kill one of the Fascinators. He knows that even if he survives this death programming, he will be outed for sure. If they suspected him before, resisting a direct order would certainly confirm. He realizes his purpose, to wake as many people as possible. So he goes on a killing spree, attempting to wake his girlfriend, discovering alien weapon stashes, and ultimately attacking a news show live on TV. His goal is simple: awaken as many people as he can, kill Fascinators. But he dies as programmed at 8 o'clock in the morning and does not live long enough to see the impact of his efforts. Nada, Alien Encounters number 6. The comic was released in April 1986. It's an adaptation of the short story 8 o'clock in the morning. Some of the details are different, but it's faithful. The yarn is fairly gritty and imaginative, and once again you can see the influence on They Live. Bill Ray does a great job illustrating. The film They Live was released on November 4th, 1988. Carpenter added to the story greatly, forging elements like the now famous glasses that allow people to see through the illusion, as well as creating a semi-organized resistance. The Fascinators are now more defined, and the film added political and cultural commentary that is less than subtle, but still fairly organic. The flick was written by John Carpenter under the pseudonym Frank Armitage, directed by John Carpenter, and scored by John Carpenter. The budget was around $3 million. Its opening theatrical pull was about $5 million. Ultimately, its box office run yielded $13 million, give or take. Its international box office run brought in an additional $1 million. It was a profitable hit, not a mega hit or anything, but it held its own. Post-theatrical revenue is said to have surpassed its theatrical run. The film is still being sold today. It's been available in every format. Currently, you can purchase various steelbooks, 4K, and Blu-ray transfers, as well as streaming rights on Apple and Microsoft digital stores, among others. The film has been a legend for decades now. To this day, many concur with Carpenter that the film is more relevant today than when it was released. The scary part is, this seems to be the consensus with every generation that discovers the film. Carpenter worked the story over to be a direct response to the Reagan era's call for consumption and growth. It depicts the situation as exploitative and unsustainable. Many would argue that we're living at the height of that reality right now. The special effects can be kinda goofy in that B-movie sort of way. The story has no real resolution. It's told from the protagonist's point of view as he develops a purpose and inevitably gives his life for it. When he checks out, so do we. This creates the sense that we're awake only through him. The flick is distinctly 80s, but also timeless in its depiction of the struggle between the classes, secret societies, and hidden agendas. This is likely why the film continues to resonate through the decades. Some people believe this film is actually a documentary meant to convey the truth of our world. That might be a bit much. But still, Carpenter was speaking about our lives using aliens to make it entertaining. Even the name of the film is relative to today's terminology. They Live refers to the aliens. They live, we sleep. Nada wakes up to the truth of the world. He is awoken, or woke. The 80s seemed to be the decade that birthed so much of our current pop culture. Its roots run deep, and its influence can be seen across all types of media. They Live is the 80s seedy underbelly. Pop some corn and sit tight. Politics aside, this is an enjoyable action sci-fi flick.
That about does it for this episode of Film Roots, but I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you think of They Live? Is it a masterpiece? Is it Carpenter's best film? Is it not such a good movie? Is it too political? Did he go too overt with his message, or is it just right? Does it hold up? Have you watched it recently? Have you never watched it, but now you're curious and you want to give it a shot? Whatever your feelings about the film, drop it in the comments. Let's have a chat about it. Hit the like button and subscribe and share and all that sort of thing, if you want. I'm certainly not giving you any subliminal orders, free will. Yeah.